Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by freshman from the Penn State women's hockey team, Mya Vaslet. Welcome to the podcast, Maya, and how's everything going?
Hi, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Obviously, coming back from a season without hockey because of COVID, but it's really good to get back, and especially at Penn State.
Yeah, how's your experience at Penn State been so far? I know that's kind of a loaded question, but how's it been academically and hockey-wise for yourself?
It's been pretty good actually. I wasn't really sure what to expect coming into it, especially like I said with COVID, especially being in Canada where things have been shut down quite a bit. But I think balancing hockey and school was one of my biggest kind of worries just because it's all new. But honestly, it's been pretty well. I have all of the help that I need, and all the girls on my team are really welcoming and helpful. So it's been pretty great so far.
Yeah. Is it crazy that the semester is almost over and it feels like it's kind of flown by?
Yeah, it has really flown by. Honestly, this week is the Thanksgiving break, but I had just have next week, and then the week after is finals week, really. So
Mhm.
it's flown by pretty fast.
Yeah. Now let's get a little bit into the hockey side of things and talk about your freshman year so far. So you had a recent series against Syracuse last weekend. So what did you take away from that series, and how would you evaluate that series heading into the closing half of the first half of the season? I know you split that series, and Syracuse is one of your team's biggest rivals. So what was your overall thoughts on just that series?
I know just that series, it was a pretty big weekend to go into, especially since because of what happened last year. But I think our first game was great. We all came together as a team, and it was really fun to play in. You can just tell that the intensity was really high, and just the competitiveness from both teams was unreal. It was for sure one of the best games I played, and it was really fun to play in.
Yeah, and how would you overall evaluate the first half of the season so far for yourself, just looking back on it now?
Looking I think honestly being college hockey, there's so many talented players on my team and on other teams. But I think the biggest thing that I'd take away from the first half of the season so far is just that I've developed so much as a player, and it's just been great. I learned so much from my teammates, and I just get positive feedback all the time, and I think that's been really beneficial for my game especially.
Now you're going up against some great teams in Washington, D.C. this upcoming weekend. So first of all, how excited are you to go up to D.C. and what's it going to be like to play some of the top teams in the country for that weekend series?
Yeah, I'm super excited to go to DC. I've never been there before, but I'm really excited to go there. And I think we play against Ohio State, which is second, and UMD, which is I think seventh. Both of those teams are really great, but I think it's going to be really good for our team. Our team has really talented players and all skillful players. And I think that we have no problem playing against them. I think we have a really good shot against them, and I honestly think that it's going to be really fun to play in because those teams also have really skillful players too. But I think it's going to be obviously a really competitive game, but it's going to be really fun to watch and especially to play in.
Yeah. And do you see this weekend as kind of an opportunity for your team to kind of head back into the national rankings after struggling in the beginning part of the regular season against St. Lawrence and Boston College to kind of show what Penn State hockey is about against some of those non-conference teams?
Yeah, for sure. Penn State hockey is for sure it's all about grittiness and speed and intensity and to play aggressively. I think it's going to be a really good weekend for us to come out strong and just play how we usually play. And I think we'll find ourselves right back there again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you plan to do anything in DC besides hockey, like see the Washington Monument or something like that? And how excited are you to see some of those cool sites if you get the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I've never been there before, and I know my family's coming down there too, so they're pretty excited to see that too. But I think we're gonna go see the Capitol and kind of walk around and hopefully maybe get to see a Capitals game or something. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome, especially if
Mhm.
Ovechkin scores. I don't know where he's at in the goal rankings right now, but I know he's getting up to Brett Hall in the all-time scoring rankings. So that'll be pretty cool to see in person if you get the opportunity to do that.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing to see him. Just his shot is crazy.
Now, is it kind of cool going to the U.S. Capitol as a Canadian? I'm just curious what that is like from your perspective. Just because I've been to Toronto, which was close to Ottawa, and it was kind of cool seeing a different
Mhm.
country's capital.
Yeah, like I know like I've grown up in Ottawa like my whole life, and obviously I've been to different places because of hockey, but I'm really excited to see like another capital. Like Washington will be crazy. Like I've heard all about it just from like friends and family going there, but I think it'll be a really great experience and opportunity to go and see it.
Now, what's been the biggest adjustment you've had to make to college hockey so far this year?
I think one of the biggest adjustments is probably playing away from home. Like I've played for Nepean my like whole life basically, and then last year I just switched over to Etobicoke. But my parents like moved there with me, so that was nice. But I think honestly, just moving away from home and kind of getting myself ready before games and not really having to talk to my parents before games. And like since the borders were closed, my parents couldn't come to every game, so it was different not being able to see them. But I think I've adjusted pretty well to that. And I think like even I've seen myself like mature as a person, but also as a hockey player, just with my parents not being around that much and like my family members not being around.
Yeah, I know. And is it kind of helpful for yourself to kind of deal with the similar situation that you're in with the other freshmen that are on the team as well, just because they're probably dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, not seeing their families every day and being kind of far away from home?
Yeah, there's four freshmen on the team, or five, I guess, including me, but we're all really close. Like we all go to dinner with each other, we all go to breakfast with each other. And I think our team is really close in general. Like everyone gets along with everyone and we're all friends. And if someone's going through a hard time, like we're there for one another. So that's really helpful just with being away from home.
Now, you got your first career goal against Holy Cross this season. What emotions were going through your head when you got that goal, and who'd you call first after the goal was scored?
So that goal, like I think that was the first game in the series we played them, and it was like the last shift of the game because there's only like 30 seconds left. But I was like, my equipment manager before the game said that he feels I'm going to get a goal tonight. So I was like, okay, like, I have to get one now. And then I like went out last shift and I'm like, if I'm going to do it now, it's got to be now. So then I kind of just like took like my freshman, like my roommate passed the puck like off the boards and I took it down and I just shot it like right above her blocker side. And it was like amazing. Like it didn't really feel like every other goal. It was like, oh, it's like my first college hockey goal. Like it's pretty insane. And then actually my dad was there for that game. He came to surprise me before the game and I saw him. And then right when we got off the ice, like we cooled down. And then as soon as I was done, I went upstairs and I like talked to my dad and he was so proud. And he gave me like a high five and he was like, how'd you feel after that goal? And I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like I was just so happy. I just couldn't stop smiling.
Where do you keep the puck?
So I have like actually like a place in my room at home where I keep all like my trophies and medals from like hockey since I first started. So I put that like right front and center of everything. And like every time I walk into my room or if anyone walks into my room, it's like the first thing you can see.
That's awesome. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's kind of a cool way to like remind yourself after the day getting home, like seeing that puck. That's just a good memory to have. So that's awesome that you put it there.
Yeah.
Now, also during that Holy Cross series, I have to ask, you suffered a scary injury. You were carted off. So I have to ask you, how did you handle that scary moment in one of your first games in your career? And what was it like kind of bouncing back from the injury? Because watching it from a screen, it was kind of hard to see what happened. And there was kind of a lot of unknownness with it, which made it scary for a lot of people who were watching it just from a screen.
Yeah, it was like pretty scary. Like it was the actually the second game against Holy Cross and I was just going to get the puck like on the boards and this girl just came out of nowhere and hit me and then I was about to get up but then I'm like I can't feel anything like from my hips down so obviously that's like pretty scary. Like I wasn't really like in a lot of pain then but the only thing that really went through my head was like oh no like just the factor of like fear like uh-oh like what am I gonna do. And I remember my dad was still there and he came down. He was like obviously scared and worried, but he was asking me how I was feeling. And I said, like, oh, like I'm not really in that much pain. I just can't feel anything. So obviously, like the biggest thing was that everyone was scared, like everyone on the bench, like my teammates. And really, I think my dad was the most scared, but obviously he was trying to like keep himself composed. But I was just like, I got to the hospital and like they did so many like x-rays and MRIs and everything. And I'm just like praying that I'm going to be able to like move something again. But luckily I can and I'm back. But the recovery process was pretty good. Like our team doctor and our team trainer, like the best out there. And I did a lot of recovery and rehabilitation. And I got back, like, I think it was a little over a week. And then the following week, it was like a bye weekend. And then the next week, I got back to play against Brown. So I was lucky that it was like a pretty quick recovery.
Yeah, and I feel like for your teammates, it's scary just because like you get carted off and then they don't know what's going on after that. So like, how'd you try to reassure your teammates that you're going to be okay?
Yeah, like, honestly, I looked at like our captain and I was like, I can't feel anything. Like, I don't know what to do. And then she goes, just hang in there. Like everyone, I could just like see like the fear in like everyone's face. And then like even our coach came on the ice and he was just like, hang in there. And I mean, I got my phone after and I could just see all the text messages and everyone texted me, which was great, but I could just tell that everyone was scared too. But I think like once I texted them, they were like, okay, she's okay, like she's good. But it was just nice to see that everyone was like worried and they all care, which was nice.
Yeah, and then when the Penn State official Twitter said that you were going to make a full recovery, I think that was kind of refreshing to see, just a kind of a breath of fresh air for all the fans, and just it was a really scary moment to watch. So I'm glad that you kind of recovered quickly from that and you bounced back, and now it's not really bothering you right now.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good. Like, thankfully, I'm so lucky to have everyone by my side to help me out.
hmm Well, kind of moving on from that, what was it kind of like bouncing back from that injury, playing against Brown, and was there any adjustments in that series, or was it kind of like a normal game in your opinion?
It was pretty much like a normal game. Obviously, I was still a little bit scared to see how like my back and my hip was gonna feel, but obviously like there was still like some pain with it, but overall it was pretty good. It was just so like nice to be back.
And what's the biggest thing you've learned so far in college hockey, playing in the CHA and playing some of the top teams in college hockey, non-conference wise as well?
It's honestly been really great. Um, like it's just I've learned so much from other teams, other players, like just watching, like before we play the game, like just watching video on other teams, like you can just see like all the talent that's on the ice. And just by watching like my teammates, I can like pick little things, just pick little things from them and bring them to my game, which is nice.
Yeah, and just another thing, just thinking about the second half of the season. Obviously, you're going to DC, but then the first half of the season is going to close out. So I have to ask, what are your goals and expectations for yourself and for your team, for the second half of the season? Like, what do you hope to accomplish? It seems like talking to upperclassmen, it's CHA championship or bust.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think for the next part of the season, it's going to be a really big push because that's like all of it counts, obviously, but I think that's where it mostly counts. And like that's where like championships are, and like you said, like CHAs are. And I think that that's where we have to show like how good we are and what we can do as a team together. Like I honestly think we have one of the best teams because, like I said before, like, everyone on our team is so like talented and just brings so much to the table that we have no problem playing against anyone. Like whatever challenge we come up against, I think we have a chance to win it.
Yeah, and I want to kind of make a transition and talk about this past off season, preparing for your first year in college hockey. So, how was your off season this past summer, and did you do anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or non-hockey related?
Yeah, my off season was a little bit modified to start with because of COVID. But as gyms started to open and like rinks started to open, I just got back and had to like put like forth all of my effort and just really like be able to do everything. Um, I think that honestly, the biggest thing that I had to make sure I was like good with was probably like my conditioning because obviously like running and skating is like a little bit different from one another. Like your skating cardio is a bit different than running cardio. And it felt so weird to get back on the ice after a while, but it was really nice to get back on the ice and just to like play hockey again. Um, I also, um, in the summertime, I went to Calgary for Team Canada, but I was supposed to go with the U18s, but then there was a bunch of people like centralized and injured, so I got to play with the U22s, which was really nice. And those girls, I would play against them in college, so it was good to like kind of get like a see of where everyone's at before I get to college. But I think that really helped me a lot with where I just like knowing where I need to be and like where my work ethic needs to be too. But overall, it was really great.
Yeah, and how was Calgary? Just being there in the summertime because obviously you're going against some of the best players in Canada. What was that whole experience like for you?
Um, it was kind of nerve wracking. Like it was honestly the first, like when I was away, that was the first couple games I've played in over like a year. So it was pretty crazy, and especially like I like a Hockey Canada camp where like that like it's serious and where that's where it counts the most. But I think that really put me in a good position. Like it kind of gave me more confidence because like I'm good enough, obviously, to be at U18s, but I'm also good enough to be at U22 as an 18-year-old, which not many girls get the chance to do. So I think that was really good too.
And how was training overall for yourself? What did you work on during the off season, heading into college for your freshman year?
I worked on probably like my agility, like foot speed, my shot a lot because I know like a lot of girls have like pretty good like quick releases and like slap shots. So I worked on that and a lot of strength. Like just I'm coming up against girls that obviously are in their fifth year and like they're gonna have a lot more weight on me. So I've worked on like my strength, my like ability to like shoot the puck faster and harder, and just fast feet and get my speed up.
And was that something you were trying to improve on regarding your game right now? Is just trying to make have a better shot and improve your strength as well? Since as you continue to college hockey and once you build up on those skills, it's just going to make you an overall better player.
Yeah, like I have pretty good speed to begin with. Like that's one of my like things that I bring to the game. But I think that there's always things that everyone can work on. And I know especially for me, like I can always work on my shot. And I know like sometimes after practice, like I'll stay on longer and I'll work on like shooting more, like working on my backhand or just shooting from different angles. So I think that that's like a big part of my game too, just like working on my shot and be able to shoot it from like any way and anywhere I can on the ice.
Now, I know in the summer of 2020, everyone dealt with a lot of challenges preparing in the off season because of closures, because of the pandemic. So my question to you is, did you face any of those same challenges this past summer? And how did you like handle those challenges if you faced any?
I actually, yeah, I faced a lot of them, like especially this past summer. Like things didn't start to open up until probably like May, April-ish. Um, so it was pretty hard dealing with those challenges, especially from like playing hockey like every day to not playing it at all. I didn't really know what to do with my time. So I kind of got like I like just was so like confused like what to do like with all the time I had on my hands, and I just didn't really know what to do. But I think that like everyone's going to face some adversity in their life, but I think that's like the biggest part. That's where I learned like the most. Like if this happens again, like what like I know what to do now. Like I know what I can do better, and I know like I need to take that time and just like maybe go outside, like go for a walk or go for like a run or stick handle. Like I think we all sometimes take advantage of like the things we have because I don't think anyone expected that to happen at all. But I think that that was a really good like obviously learning opportunity, and we just have to we can't take for granted like anything like hockey or anything because it can be taken away just like that.
Yeah. And in Canada, did things start to open back up a little bit with like less restrictions, or was things mostly closed throughout this past summer, like it was in 2020?
Um, it started to open up a little bit. Like 2020 was probably the worst because nothing opened up. But this past summer was pretty good with opening up like fairly quickly. So it was nice to see that they were trying to get things back to normal.
Yeah, and I asked that because I was talking to some other players. Do you think your approach changed a little bit this off season, knowing that some of the restrictions were lifted and you kind of got to have a more of a normal off season than you did the previous one?
Yeah, like my approach was a little bit like different. Like I know sometimes like we weren't allowed in the gym, so we'd have to bring everything to like a field outside and then do some like field sprints and like some different kind of workouts. So I know we couldn't have like all of the equipment we could have in a gym, but we still like used everything that we could. And I still got to work out, so I can't like complain about that. But I think it was like obviously different, but it was really good overall.
Yeah. Do you like working out outside? Do you think there's any advantage to doing it outside versus indoors?
Yeah, I think like if like the advantages are that we can do like hill sprints, like up and down hills, which improves so much in like all different areas. But also like I'd prefer to work inside the gym because like it's so much easier to like focus and you have all the equipment there that you need to be at your best.
Yeah, and how'd you adjust working out from your house as well? Because I know a lot of players had to do that. I know some players kind of like the at-home workouts a little bit just because they didn't have all the equipment, but they had to do a lot more band workouts, and they said that helped with injury prevention. I don't know if you kind of felt the same way on that.
Yeah, like for sure, I'd have to agree with them. It really helps with injury prevention for sure. But I personally felt like it was hard to work out at home, just being home all the time. And it was kind of hard to like make yourself get up and go work out to like your full like potential you usually can in the gym. So I know that was a big like issue for me, just being able to push myself just with myself in the basement. But I think like the biggest thing that really is like the difference between in the gym and at home is just you have like other people around you to push you. And like I think like the for the people who can work at home without having someone there to push them is a really big skill. But personally for me, I'd prefer working out um somewhere else than at home.
Yeah, and also helps with bonding with your teammates, just because you're pushing each other. So that's another aspect of things that people don't realize as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good that way.
Now, speaking of bonding, talk about your freshman class this year. What's it been like playing with them this year, and how have you guys gotten to know each other this year? Just because I don't know if you guys previously met before coming to Penn State.
Yeah, it's like honestly, I think these girls would be like my best friends forever. Like I know me and my roommate are really close and we're line mates and like even on the ice you can see like the chemistry and everyone's like, oh, you guys play so well together. But I think it's just because we like all just hang out all the time. And like honestly, if like we're just sitting in our rooms, we'll be like, oh, like wanna go get dinner? Or we'll be like, yeah, sure, let's go. Or like sometimes we'll even like um go to classes together, and then if we don't have the same class we'll like go to different directions but we'll still walk together. Like we'll all like text and like FaceTime if we're not like with each other. But I think like the dynamics of just the freshmen is like really great overall. Like we do everything together.
And talk about the upperclassmen. What's it been like to play with them? And just also talk about the leadership that they possess and how has it helped your transition into college hockey, just following their leadership, especially players like Natalie Heising, who's obviously one of the best players in Penn State women's hockey history.
Yeah, it was really good. Like before I came down to Penn State, Natalie actually called all the freshmen and was like, if you have any questions, like let let me know, like here if you need any help. So that was really nice too. And it just off the start just made me feel like more welcome. Like the leadership of all the upperclassmen is great. Like they're all so nice and like it doesn't really like our team doesn't make you feel like, oh, like there's certain class like freshman, sophomore, junior. Like it just feels like one team, which is so nice. Like they all make you feel welcome. And they all, if like one person goes to dinner, they'll be like, oh, like do you guys want to come too? Or like sometimes like since we don't really get home cooked meals that much, a girl on our team is a really good cook, so she'll like cook dinners for us. And they're just really great with like welcoming and just making us feel like home. Or if we have anything ever that we need to talk about, we can always just talk to them about anything.
Who's the girl on the team that can cook, and what stuff does she make?
Well, tonight we actually have Thanksgiving dinner, so it's Dobby, number 18. So she like loves to cook. But yeah, we have Thanksgiving dinner tonight, so we're all like making stuff and bringing stuff there, so it'll be really fun.
That's awesome. What's the best thing she's made so far this year? Obviously, I think Thanksgiving meal is probably going to top that, but um, anything that she's made recently that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, she makes really good like bruschetta with like tomatoes on top, so it's really good. She's really good at cooking.
That's awesome. I'm not the best cook, so you're lucky that you get to have that in college. And not many
Yeah,
players
me
get to say
either.
that. Now, I want to transition a little bit and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work my way up into where you are now with Penn State. So you're from Stittsville, Ontario. What's it like growing up there, and how'd you start playing hockey?
It's a pretty big community. Like it's a really big hockey community, especially like crazy hockey parents. But my brother first started playing hockey, and I was obviously put into like dancing and figure skating and soccer. But I asked my mom when I was younger, like, I want to play hockey like my older brother. And she's like, well, no, like, I want you to be a dancer and like figure skate. And then she's like, I begged her and she finally let me play hockey. And then, like, I'll like never let her live it down that she let me start like later on because I started at when I was 7. But now she's like, oh, thank God I let you play hockey. Like, you're at Penn State. If like you never would have had those experiences if I said no.
Hmm.
So I think it's just really great. And my hockey coach at home, me and his like I used to go to school with his son. So I developed like really good like relationships with people just through hockey, and like some of my best friends have been made through my team. So it's been really good like that. And I think Stittsville is like a really big hockey community, but they also like do stuff around like the rings, and just like you can see people and everyone will say hi, and it's just so nice and welcoming.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, there must have been some great sibling rivalry with you guys playing hockey together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like my dad used to build like the big like outdoor rinks in the backyard, and we used to have like scrimmage games, and he'd bring his friends, I'd bring mine, and then like if I beat him, like I'd never let him live it down, or if like, he beat me, he'd never let me live it down. So it was really good like that, and I think that's where I got my like competitiveness from.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm the youngest sibling, so I was probably a little bit more annoying about me winning. I don't know if you are the same way or not.
Yeah, my brother's 2 years older than me, but yeah, like if I beat him, I'd be like, ah, like you just lost, like your younger sister, like I'm a girl, like I beat
Yeah,
you, and he'd get so mad over it.
that's awesome. Well, that's cool that you had that experience. And did you watch any hockey growing up? Like, who was your favorite player? Was it someone on the NHL or was it a women's player on the national team?
I watched a lot of hockey growing up, but I think like my favorite player was probably Amanda Kessel. Like obviously like all like the men's players are really good, but I think really for like a girl to look at like another like women hockey player and be like, oh, I want to be like her when I'm older. I think it'd probably be like Mary Philip Poulin or like Amanda Kessel or Hillary Knight. Like they're all such amazing people and amazing players. Like they do so many things around the community. Like you can see like Hillary Knight, like she does crazy like advertisements for everyone, and she has such great endorsements. So I'd like love to like do stuff like she does. Like I think it's great that they obviously are like amazing hockey players, but I think it's really important to also do stuff for like your community and give back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to see that some of those women's players that you mentioned are getting roles with NHL teams, which I think is helping make the
Mhm.
hockey a sport for everyone, which I think is important. So that's cool to see. And obviously, Amanda Kessel, I think she's honestly even better. She's better now than she was like 4 years ago in 2018. So it's kind of cool to see how much better she's gotten over the past 4 years and how she's competing for another Olympic spot in the centralization process.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just great. You can see like all like the development like in the process along the years and she's been playing, and it's just so great that she was good then, but like she's even better now.
Now, before Penn State, you played in the PWHL. How did you get the opportunity to go to that league? What's the process like?
Honestly, like I didn't really like know much. Like when I first started playing hockey, I'm like, oh, I just want to play for fun. Like all my friends play it, but then I started to like pick up, and I'm like, oh wow, like I could like do something with this. And then I got the opportunity to play in the PW for Nepean first, and I moved up a level. So I technically played like 4 years in the PW. So like my first 3 years with Nepean, and then my fourth year was with Etobicoke, but it was just such a great opportunity. Like obviously, I think PW is one of the best leagues you can play in before college hockey. And it has really taught me a lot just from like all like the girls you play against, like across like Canada and everywhere. Like we used to go to tournaments and play like Chicago Mission and have these like really great opportunities that like some players like play like for UMD or like Wisconsin. So I think that it's a really great opportunity. If anyone has the chance to play for PW, like in PW, they really should take that chance and play there because it will really like benefit you in the future.
Yeah, and you played most of your playing career with Nepean, like you just said. So just talk about your time with Nepean and what did you take away from it?
My time with the PM was pretty good. Like there was obviously some ups and downs to it, but I really just learned a lot from playing against the different players because everyone brings something different to like the table. Whether it's like she's a goal scorer, like I can see like I can take something away from her game, like what I can add to mine to make myself even better. And like some players are like playmakers, so it was really cool to play with like all those different players and see who you kind of like have chemistry with. So I think it was really good just playing there to see, because I know some of my really good friends I've met through Nepean. So it was just pretty good just playing there.
Yeah, who are some of the players you played with at Nepean that currently play D1 college hockey?
I play with Charlie Kettle. She plays for New Hampshire. And Michelle, she plays with Clarkston. Um, Catherine Stockdale, she plays for UConn. And there's some girls that went to youth sports teams like Abby Howland. She plays for Toronto now. But we're all really good. We're still like really good friends, and we all talk to this day. When we go home, like we'll all hang out and have fun.
Yeah, what was it like playing with Kat Stockdale? Just because I've had her on the podcast before. Honestly, probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. What was it like being your teammate?
Yeah, we are really good friends. Like we always have like the most fun together. Like we always hang out all the time in the summer, and she's such a great person, and her family's amazing. But I don't think we played together on the same line because we're both centers. But it was really good. Like she brings a lot to her team. I'm sure she has like great speed, and she can make really good plays. So it's really good.
And then you transitioned to Tobico. What led to that transition, and what was your time like in the Tobico, even though you didn't play a single game with that team?
Yeah. So I think Etobicoke was probably one of the best teams I've played on. Just from the girls, like all the girls on that team are just amazing people and really great hockey players. But I think the coach Joe, he is by far one of the best coaches I think I've had. He's like team first, like will do anything for us and just give us every chance to be the best we can. And even though we didn't really get to play hockey like that much and really have games, I still think that I learned a lot just from being there, just from like doing skill sessions and skating sessions with him. And I think that's where like I honestly developed the most was there.
Yeah, and Etobicoke has one of the best jerseys in the PWHL. I don't know if you agree with me on that. I've seen it. I think the dolphin and the blue really stick out to me.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like, and the dressing room is crazy. Like, it has everything like that I would have here. Like,
Hmm.
he does so much for the team and just make sure that we're all prepared for everything and anything. And just the apparel we get is out of this world. Like, we have everything. Like, you name it, like we'd have it.
Now, even though you didn't play like really any games with the Tobico, you were one of the leaders of that team since it was your final year in the PWHL. So, what type of leadership did you want to bring to the team? Were you more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I think like sometimes I can be a little shy, but I'd be like a lead by example player. But if there's obviously something to be said, I'd say it. And like if I could see like someone's like getting down on themselves, obviously like wouldn't say it in front of the team. Like I'd say it off the side and like ask if they're okay. But I think like I'd probably be a bit of both, but mostly probably like lead by example and just show them like what it takes to be a leader.
Now, how did you handle not really having a season last year, and what did you do during that time period of not playing and what normally would be your season?
Well, when it first happened, I like we lost to I think it was Oakville, and we came home and it was a weekend after, and we got like the call like our season shut down, and I think everyone started went into like fight or flight mode, like, oh, like, what do I do? Like, do I have to like move away to play hockey? Like, what am I supposed to do now? But I think the best thing you can probably do is probably face the adversity instead of like kind of turning away from it, because I think I came out better, like a better person and a better hockey player. Like I know I never expect this to ever happen, but I think it probably was a really good thing because I learned so many things. Like just I could like even though I didn't have any hockey or was able to go in the gym, like I'd just go outside and like go for a run or just shoot pucks outside, which I probably have never done in so long just because I'd always have hockey to go to. But I think like probably stepping away from the rink for a little bit and just reflect on things that I've done in the past and what I have to work on was really good because I got better at things that like were my weaknesses.
Now, looking back at your time in the PWHL, how did it help prepare you for college hockey? Since you're playing it now, like what are some things you learned in the PWHL that's been very beneficial for yourself with Penn State?
I think just like it's one of the best leagues that you can play before college, like I said, but I think really just it was like most of the kids in the PW, like I played against them or with them in like college hockey. So I kind of would like get to see what like how they play and like what their likes, and then I can like use that for when I play against them and I'd be like, oh, like I know this girl, like I know what she does, I know like how she plays. So I think that was really good.
And you also got to play in the U18 World Championships for Team Canada. What was it like getting the opportunity to represent your country, and what's the process for making Canada for that tournament? Just talk about that tournament as a whole.
Yeah, so nationals, I played with one of my really good friends, Izzy Wonder, and we work like really well together. And I think she's going to Princeton next year. But I made like a lot of really good friends during that tournament. But that was probably the best hockey I played in so long. Like I had the top forward award. Like I was just like myself as a hockey player there, and I just felt so confident. But I think it was a really good experience for me. Like I showed everyone what I can do and like what kind of player I am. So I think that I really needed to show people that and like that I'm like a threat on the ice and everything. But especially like being like one of the younger players there, like even I can do that against older girls. Like I have no reason why I can't do that against like older girls now in college hockey. So I think just like kind of finding like myself as a player, especially there, was really good.
Now, talk about your recruitment process to Penn State. What was that like, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
I got recruited first when I was in grade 9. So I had my first visit in grade 9, and I was like blown away by the facilities and just the rink. Like the rink itself was like mind blowing. Like even like the Ottawa Senators rink at home is not as nice as this rink. So I think like, and even just I met some of the players and all the coaching staff, and it was just so welcoming, and it just felt like home. I think the biggest thing that made me want to come here is just that it's also not that far away from home, but it feels like home. Like everyone here wants the best for you. And like if you ever need anything, you can ask the coaches or any of the girls on the team. And obviously this team like can go far. Like everyone on this team is has a great personality and is a great hockey player. So I think all around is just really great. I think it was the best choice for me.
Yeah, what was it like stepping out at Pagula for the first time, and just seeing the size of the rink and knowing that you'll be playing there for your next 4 years?
Yeah, it was like mind blowing. Like obviously like I had butterflies and like nerves and I was a little shaky, but I kind of had to like think like I'm here for a reason and I deserve to be here. Like I have every chance and opportunity to be here and they picked me for a reason. So I just had to go out and kind of show them what they picked me for.
Now, the Frozen Four is going to be at Pagula, so does that motivate your team even more to try to get back to the Frozen Four and win it in your home ice?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I know like in our dressing room and in our like facilities, like when we walk right into our locker room, it's like Frozen Four, like you can see it right there. So I think it's always just a constant reminder that that's like there for us to grab and we have every opportunity to have it.
Oh yeah, I don't know. So would people have to use your locker room if that in that tournament, or because I feel like that's something that would also motivate me is I don't want another team using our locker room.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think like I think they'd probably just use the other rinks, but I think that's like also a really big factor. Like that's our rink, that's like our home. Like no one can take this from us.
Exactly. So now I want to ask you about some of your teammates you get to play with. So the first teammate I want to ask you about is Kiara Zane, and because you played against her in juniors and she absolutely killed it in the PWHL. But what's it like finally getting to be teammates with her and see her killing it with Penn State?
Yeah, she's like a really great person, but also a really great teammate and hockey player. Like I'm obviously not on the same line as her, but because we're both centers. But I got to play on the bit of the power play with her, and like she just takes control and is just like confident, and you can just tell like she's there for a reason. Like she needs to be there. Like she has such a big presence on the ice, and even like in the locker room, like she's just fun to be around. Like just a great person overall.
Now the last team I want to ask you about is Rachel Weiss. What's it like getting the chance to play with her, and what's she like as a teammate both on and off the ice?
Yeah, Rachel is actually really good friends with my roommate Lexi. But I played with her for a bit. She's a really good player and just has great puck skills and has a great shot. And I think her like personality wise, she's just really great to be around too. Like she's funny, like she's always like there for a laugh, or if you need anything, you can always ask her about anything. And like if you seem a little bit down, she'll come up and talk to you and ask if you're okay. But I think she has a big presence on and off the ice too.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So my first question to you is, if you could choose to do anything for a day that's non-hockey related, what would you choose and why?
Um, if I could choose something that's non-hockey related, I think I'd probably go shopping like all day. I love shopping, especially with my mom and my dad and like my aunt. Like we will just like constantly go shopping. I think it's like the most fun thing I can think of besides hockey.
Yeah. What would be the first store you like visit?
Probably Aritzia or like Lululemon.
Nice, nice. Now, I've never actually been to any of those places, so I can't really add to that, but they sound pretty cool.
Yeah, they are my favorite stores.
Now, Penn State has a really cool sports culture, and that's one thing that I think makes the school great. So, what's your favorite sport to watch at Penn State besides women's hockey?
Honestly, I haven't really got to go to any games because of like well besides football, but because we're away. But I think on like women's volleyball or women's basketball, like I played basketball growing up, but I think just watching other female sports is great just to support female sports, because I think men's sports like they obviously get a lot of recognition and everything, but I think in today's world we need like to show like some support on the women's parts in general. So I think one of the most fun sports to watch is probably women's basketball.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know the women's
Mhm.
soccer team at Penn State's really cool, and shout out to them just because someone from my high school plays on the women's soccer team. So that's just a cool fact. So that's why I support Penn State women's soccer as well as Penn State women's hockey.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's also really fun to watch too.
Now, did you get the chance to go to the whiteout game for football?
Um, I had tickets, but I actually didn't have the chance to go in because it was so busy. Because like the student section was packed, but um, I'm sure it was really great. I just couldn't get into it because it was so busy.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. I hopefully get the chance to do that sometime, just because I'm not really a big football fan, but it looks like a cool
Mhm.
event just to attend.
Yeah, it does.
Now, next non-hockey question is, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh God, anyone in the world. I don't really, maybe honestly, I think Hillary Knight. I think like because like I follow her on like social media and like TikTok and everything. And like her TikToks are like the funniest thing ever. Like she's just like herself, and like she's not like trying to be anyone else. But I honestly think I'd go to lunch with her.
That's awesome. And then,
Mhm.
kind of transitioning from that question, what music do you like to listen to? Are you more of a hip hop fan, more of a pop fan, country fan? Like, what's kind of your go-to genre of music?
I like to listen to like I know like our whole team listen to country, but before games, like I like to listen to like kind of like that like rap music and stuff like that just to get like pumped up for the games.
Now, Let's hear some questions about some of your teammates. So first one is, who is the funniest teammate you have at Penn State?
I think the funniest teammate that I have is probably Avery. She came from Clarkson. She's a fifth year, but she's always good for like a laugh. Like I know, like against Syracuse, I sat with her, but like in the dressing room, and she was so funny. Like she just brings like the energy to the room. She's just fun to be around.
Now, who has the best style on the team besides yourself, obviously?
Oh, that's a good question. I think everyone's like pretty much the same. Like I don't think I have a favorite person that's like the best style. I think everyone's pretty much the same.
Now, I know you've only had one semester of college, but what's been your favorite class you've taken?
I think my favorite class I've taken is English. Like I know it kind of sounds like, oh, like English is kind of boring, but my professor is like really good professor, and he just like kind of like bonds with everyone, and he's always there for a good laugh, and it doesn't feel like you're in class. Like it feels like you're just there, like just having conversations. So I think that's my favorite class so far.
Now, when we're obviously recording this before Thanksgiving, but when this is going to be released, it's going to be in the holiday season. It's going to be around the corner. So I want to ask you some like holiday theme questions. So my first question to you is, what's the best holiday theme song, and what's the worst holiday song?
um,
If you want me to give you my answer, so if you want to think about it, I know I put you on the spot a little bit for that. I can do that.
yeah, sure.
I think for myself, best Christmas song is probably like one of those old like Frank Sinatra songs,
Oh
like Silver
yeah.
Bells. I just feel like that puts you in the good Christmas mood. And then the worst
Hmm.
Christmas song is probably Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I just think the song's super
Hmm.
repetitive and annoying.
Yeah, that's actually true. I think that would probably be my worst song too. But I think like one of the songs that I like the most is probably like Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. Like and everyone's like, oh, like Justin Bieber, like everyone like just likes every one of his songs. But I think like that's like a good Christmas song that like I know like I like and like a bunch of my friends like too.
Now, what's the best Christmas movie?
Oh, I think like the best Christmas movie is probably Christmas with the Cranks or like Home Alone. Like, and every time I go home, we always watch those movies. It's always just like a tradition, really.
Yeah, I've never seen Christmas with the Cranks before, so maybe I have to check that out this year.
Oh yeah, I totally recommend it. It's really good.
I think for my best Christmas movie, it's probably Elf. I just think it's super hilarious,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I think it's a good. It's my opinion, it's the best Christmas movie, or Polar Express, one of those two.
Oh yeah, those are really good movies. I'd agree with that.
Now, kind of back to some hockey questions. Now, first one is, since we did kind of discuss a little bit how the Frozen Four is going to be at Penn State. Recent news came out that the tournament is expanded to 11 teams. I know you and a lot of your teammates and a lot of people around D1 women's college hockey were promoting the expansion of the tournament. So, what's your just overall thoughts on the tournament being expanded, and when do you think it's going to happen? Because I heard it's going to either happen this year or next year.
I think that it's really good. Like, I think that it's great that we were all promoting it to happen. Like, I know we all reposted it on social media, but I actually think that it's probably like a big step towards big things for women's hockey. I know like men's teams for hockey all have like such great like opportunities, but it's kind of like we can't really get to make like the same amount of money as they do or anything like that. So I think that that's a really big step towards great things. But I personally would like to see it happen sometime this year, but I don't think it'll happen until next year. But I could be totally wrong.
Yeah. No, I think I feel like there's a lot of like things to maneuver to have it happen this year just because even though
Hmm.
it is in 3 months, it's still a lot of things to decide in 3 months because I don't even know what the 11 team tournament will look like bracket wise just because it's an odd number. So that's why I think it will happen
Hmm.
next year. But if it happens this year, I think it'll be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be really cool.
Now, next hockey question to you is what advice would you give a younger player who's listening to this podcast about what it takes to make it to D1 college hockey?
I think the biggest thing is that um, I would say to someone is probably like don't let anyone get in the way of what you want to happen. Like I've had coaches in the past that weren't exactly the best and had they're favorites, but obviously I think that that's just some adversity you're obviously going to face. But I think you can't let anyone step in your way, and you have to do what you have to do to make sure you're out there for like and playing for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's you are the most important person that matters, and you can't play for anyone else. So I think you have to play for yourself and just not let anyone get in the way of that.
Now, next hockey question is, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
Oh, I think there should be a lot of things, but personally, I think just you can look at like all like the different Big Ten schools and what we get compared to like the men's team gets. But I think it's just the equality versus us compared to them. Like obviously we get like the same things and like the same facilities, but it's really just kind of no one really, everyone's like, oh, like it's just women's hockey, but it's great hockey to watch. Like if you watch Canada versus US hockey, like I would watch that any day over any other hockey. Like I think just the competitiveness is unreal, and just there's so much talent out there, but I think there needs to be some more recognition, and I think that it should be televised. Like there's no reason why the women's league shouldn't be televised on TV. Like I don't see why anything that wouldn't happen. And also like one year last year I was supposed to go to the U18s, and it got canceled, but the men's team still went. So obviously like no one said anything about that. No one heard about that until this year. And everyone's like, oh, like we didn't even hear about it. I'm like, yeah, no one wanted to say anything. Everyone was too afraid to step up. So I think there needs to be more people to like speak up and say stuff, because obviously that's not right that the men's team got to go and the women's team didn't. Like that should say a lot to them.
Yeah, totally. And I think kind of going off your point is to broadcast women's college hockey as well. You see every time you turn into a college hockey game on TV, it's usually a men's game. So putting in more women's college hockey would help just help grow the sport even more, especially since there's a lot of great teams and a lot of great players that are in college. So I just think that'll be another way to grow. Maybe just because I watch a lot of college hockey, so I'm thinking from that aspect of things. But I just think that that'll be another way to help grow the sport even more.
Yeah, for sure. I agree completely.
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your family members, friends, teammates, anyone else that I might have not mentioned in this interview?
Probably just my parents for being like the best parents in the world, and like making sure I'm like at my best and everything happens. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Maya. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I know you're going to do great. You're already one of my favorite players in college hockey, so it was great getting the chance to talk with you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.